Hello friends, welcome to CEC Gurukul lecture. Dear friends, this is our another session on career counseling called Pratibha Samvardhan. Dear friends, today we have a wonderful guest with us. He has given his contribution into career psychology, or I would say sports psychology, because it's a new area and you might be wondering what is sports psychology. Friends, he has written research papers also, as well as co-authored a book, A Dive into Human Mind. Now you might be wondering what is he going to deliver today. He is going to talk on exploration of a flow state. Now, what is this topic about? Let's welcome our guest, Mr. Madhav Paparija, and let's try to understand through him what is a flow state, which he is going to talk more and more. So, Mr. Paparija, welcome to the lecture, and through you, we want to know what is a flow state.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Before I go on with the talk, I want to firstly express my deepest gratitude towards the Consortium of Educational Communication and to Gitika ma'am, of course, for welcoming me to this platform and giving me the chance to express my ideas and knowledge on a topic I personally resonate a lot with, and hopefully I can influence their audience today. So, about the flow state, as I said, I personally resonate a lot with this topic because as I've played football for 4 years professionally at a club called Sudeva Delhi FC, and having played football for 4 years, I have garnered a lot of experiences and a lot of lessons from my journey. And one of those lessons was a very key observation. And that observation was that whenever I had my best performances on the ground, all of those performances had a common theme attached to them. And that theme was characterized by heightened focus and concentration, to the extent that everything else except for football just vanished away from my mind. So it was just basically gone. And in that moment, the surroundings did not matter. So what the opponents were saying, what my teammates were saying, what were the coaches saying, people outside the ground, nothing mattered at all. My past did not matter. What I did before the game did not matter. The future, what will the coaches say after the game, what will the teammates be mad at me, not be mad at me, none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered at that time was that I want to play football, that I need to play football. And that's it. And when my brain shifted into that state, it was like all my neurons in the brain had basically decided that, okay, one purpose and one purpose only, to play football. And at that time, I saw my performances going through the roof. And delivering on these best performances gave me a sense of confidence that I could never have imagined. And so this is basically the essence of the flow state. So when I had these performances, I basically decided to do some research and actually study what was happening to me. And one fine day, I came across this idea of the flow state. And it immediately clicked. And I was like, this is exactly what happened to me on the ground. And so I started to continue to study it even more. And certain common themes emerged, very philosophical, very spiritual themes. So actions and awareness merge in the flow state. Your sense of self vanishes, time passes strangely, and your performance goes through the roof. So these are some of the themes which are commonly associated with the flow state. And as I said, they are very spiritual, very mystical sounding. But I can personally vouch that it is exactly what happens when you are in a state of flow. So today I want to talk about this flow state. Now, another important thing is that it not only resonates with me, I think it resonates with everyone who's currently listening to this. And because every one of us at one time or the other has experienced this state of flow. Even if it is on a micro level, we all have done it. A very good example of that would be when you're having a good conversation with someone. So if you're talking to someone about a topic you are very much interested in and you know a lot about, you usually see that the ideas just come out of your head and they just connect automatically, and you just express ideas like you've never before. And at that time just flies by. So you could be talking for 6 hours and you might feel like only 1 or 2 hours have passed by. And this is basically the essence of the flow state. Creativity, ideas flowing out of your head and connecting seamlessly, endlessly, perfectly. So because this topic resonates with so much of us, it becomes very important to know about it, be aware about it, and actually train ourselves to not only enter it, but to live in it. And that constitutes the source of happiness, the source of a smile on your face. And that is one of the most important things on earth. So let's talk about the flow state today. So this is the man who introduced this idea of flow into mainstream psychology. So his name is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Bit of a complicated name. Thoda Google search karna padega. But what he essentially did was, let's talk about his life first a little. So he was born into very unfavorable conditions, to say the least. I mean, he was born during the Hungarian Revolution, so he witnessed a lot of bloodshed and a lot of violence during his early years. And then he was also unfortunate enough to witness the events of World War II. So he, at the same time, Mihai observed the best of human character and the worst of human character. And so during this very tumultuous and tragic journey that he had, he made some very keen observations. And one of those observations was that no matter how tough life got, no matter how tough things got, certain people just seem to have a smile on their face constantly. They seem to perform optimally no matter what. I mean, these people had an entire right to be depressed, to be sad, to be angry, to be annoyed with life, to be everything, but they weren't. The families were destroyed by war, their entire livelihood was gone, but still somehow they managed to smile every single day and managed to perform and do their work every single day. So these observations sparked a curiosity inside him, sparked a lot of questions inside him. So questions like, why are these people smiling? What constitutes the essence of their happiness? How do these people perform every day despite their life going so downhill? And so as he got older and life got better, he pursued a career in psychology. He was very inspired by Carl Jung, by the way, a very prominent psychologist of his time. And as he got older, and for his research, basically what he did was he traveled the whole world and asked people from different domains. So from music to art to poetry to businesses to engineers, coders, every domain that you can imagine. He went to people and asked them a set of questions. So questions like, when were you the happiest? When did you perform your best? When did you feel your best? And to all these questions, he saw a common theme attached. Certain common words were used, certain common phrases were used. So words like euphoria, words like ecstasy, words like boundless joy. Phrases were used like the mind was on autopilot. Ideas were flowing out of my head, connecting seamlessly, endlessly, perfectly. So when he witnessed these themes, he concluded one thing, and at that time was considered a very drastic conclusion, that peak human performance, irrespective of the field or domain, has a common signature, a common theme. And that signature he called the flow state. So in one of his books, he outlined his entire journey into discovering this flow state. And that's what he essentially said, that no matter what your field is, no matter what you do, irrespective, even the most mundane life activities, the essence of peak human performance is the same. And that is the state of flow. So he did three important things basically. First of those was that flow is objective. So when we think about flow state, a lot of us think that it's a very subjective, very philosophical, happens to some if you get lucky, doesn't happen to everyone, happens differently for everyone. He said, no, that's absolutely wrong. He classified flow as objective and measurable. So he gave 7 core characteristics of the flow state. One of them was clear goals. So as I said, your brain has one purpose and all your neurons are firing to achieve their one purpose only. That induces flow, that induces attention, drives your attention completely to the task at hand. Second was immediate feedback. So when your attention is completely driven into the present, when you are in that state of flow, you receive immediate feedback on your actions. So take for example, if I am playing football and I enter this state of flow, if I make a wrong pass to a teammate, I immediately know I made a wrong pass, this is what I have to do the next time, move on. If I make a good pass, I quickly pat myself on the back, move on. So this loop that is created, this very quick loop, everything happens quickly. This immediate feedback happens very, very, very quickly. And this allows you to stay present in the task, allows you to concentrate completely on the task. And that induces flow. Third was the altered sense of time. So as I said, You might be having a very interesting conversation with someone. 6 hours might go by and you might feel like only minutes have gone by. So this altered sense of time is produced by the flow state. Loss of self-consciousness. So you stop caring what others are saying. What happens in your surroundings, what are people saying, none of that matters. The only thing that matters, what you are doing, what you are feeling at the time. That's it. Loss of sense of self. This is probably sounding very mystical, but what happens is basically your ego vanishes. So when I'm saying I am Madhav Papreja, I'm using my ego. Right? That ego vanishes. That sense of self is completely gone. I know this sounds a bit complex right now, but I'll get to it later. Another one of the characteristics is challenge, skills, balance. So basically, challenge and skills are proportional. So whatever your skill level is currently, the challenge is just a little bit harder than that. So the flow state essentially pushes you outside of your comfort zone to drive the attention into your task. Because if it's too easy, you will not focus on it. If it's too hard, you will get anxious and you will quit. So this balance exists in the flow state. So after giving these characteristics, Mihaly essentially said that if we have these characteristics and if we can observe them, we can measure them. And if we can measure them, this makes flow state not subjective or philosophical, but an empirical scientific concept. And today, thankfully, we have a lot of psychometric instruments, psychometric measuring tools, which we can actually use to see how much a person is in flow. And we can actually even map what is going on inside the brain when a person is in a highly induced flow state. The second most important thing that he did was, he said flow is universal. So you don't need to be an artist or a musician or a highly successful businessman to access the flow state. Even in your most daily mundane life activities, you can harness the flow state. So imagine a mother cooking food. माँ के हाथ का खाना बहुत अच्छा लगता है. How does this माँ के हाथ का खाना become so tasty on its own? Become tastier than 5-star chefs? Because when a mother cooks, she is cooking for love. She is cooking because she wants to see her family smile when they eat their food. They want to see her happy and satisfied and just have a big smile on their face. So that love creates an intrinsic motivation, an inner drive to actually make that food the tastiest food in the world. And that's what the mother essentially does. She makes that food the tastiest in the world. And the mother enters the flow state automatically. Without even awareness, she enters the flow state. And cooking food not only just becomes a job or a duty, it becomes creativity. It becomes an art. Another example could be a daily workout. So either you can be extremely stressed and tired and just hoping the workout ends, or sometimes you just enter into a state of flow and the workout just flows by. A runner's high. What happens when people are running into marathons? They're running 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 40 kilometers sometimes. So basically what happens is they keep on running. At first they get tired and they don't want to do it anymore. All sorts of negative emotions start to creep in. But if their willpower is strong enough to get past that stage, once they do, they enter that state of flow. So that stress is gone. That physical pain that they're feeling is gone. And they enter into that flow and they're just running. Nothing is going on in their minds, nothing is going on in their brains, and they're just running. So this flow can be seen everywhere. From athletics, to a mother's cooking, to a daily workout, to a runner running a marathon, to the workplace, everywhere. Even today, right now I'm speaking, I'm feeling a kind of flow. So, flow state is basically universal in the sense that every person in the world can access it, doing the most mundane life activities. Now coming to the third most important thing, what Mihaly said, that flow is the source of optimum well-being and satisfaction. So the answer to his questions, why were they smiling, what constitutes their happiness, were these two words, flow state. Those people were living in a flow state. They were focused on their work and what they had to do that day. That's it. What happens tomorrow, what happened yesterday, nothing mattered for them. He even went to the extent and said that the most satisfied people who score off the charts for well-being and happiness are the people who are most in the flow. That's a very big conclusion, a very drastic conclusion that shows how important and relevant accessing this flow state is to our lives. So after he said how optimum, the question, after he basically said that the flow state is very optimum, the question shifted. The question now shifted to how optimum is the flow state? How can you measure it? Where are the examples? Where can we see the flow state in live action? And as turns out, the answer is the flow state is extremely optimum. And one of the big examples is seen in the world of sports. Now, for those of you who don't recognize this, probably living in a box somewhere, this is Neymar Jr., one of the best footballers the world has ever seen. And his biggest talent, his biggest skill is his creativity on the field. When he gets to an opponent and he tries to dribble past them, the moves he can execute and the unpredictability he has while playing is beyond imaginable. I mean, he can do maneuvers you can never imagine. Sometimes they even defy science. So how does he do that? So a study was conducted by Japanese neurologists. So they basically tracked his brain activity while he was playing in a normal training session. And they found a very startling conclusion. They found that Neymar actually used less of his brain while playing than an amateur player or a player who is just beginning to play football. So imagine that. He's basically not thinking. His mind is on autopilot, as I said before. He's not thinking. He's playing completely through instinct, and he has let his subconscious mind completely take over his actions. So basically, it's like riding a bike. Every one of us knows how to ride a bike, right? We don't have to think about it. That's how football is for him. It's second nature. So Neymar basically accesses the flow state every time he's on the ground. He doesn't need to think. He doesn't need to focus. Focus is automatically there every time he steps on the ground. And today he is one of the greatest footballers the world has ever seen. Only by being able to access the power of the flow state on a consistent basis. How he did that? Well, he's been practicing on grounds, streets, playing barefoot, playing with shoes, playing in all sorts of environments since like 5 years old. So being exposed to such environments where creativity just flows automatically out of you, that trains you to be in the flow state. That's how you learn to be in the flow state. By being on the streets, by being with people around you, by being with people who are older than you and actually challenge you in situations. That's how you learn to enter the flow state, because the brain is forced to actually drive your neurons into the task you're doing. And that's how you learn to enter the flow state. Another classic example is the extreme sports. So imagine this. There is a surfer on an ocean, on the start of an ocean, and he sees a 60-foot wave at high speeds crashing down on him. For most of us, this is an extremely scary situation. We wouldn't go near it. We would run away from it. We wouldn't even dare to do it. But that surfer is on his surfboard and he rides that wave fearlessly. This is life or death for him, by the way. If he shifts even a millimeter, he's going straight to God. So in that situation, the surfer has two options. Either flow or die. But when he comes in that situation, again, the risk that he is taking, that drives his brain to focus. Because he knows that he has to execute the most perfect maneuver in order to survive. That's the only chance he has at surviving. And he does that. He does that consistently. And the evidence of this is in 1990, the highest surf jump was 40 foot. So 40-foot wave and the rider rides it. And people believed that that's it. This cannot go beyond 40 foot because it would basically defy science now. Today the record is 200 foot. So imagine the difference. 5 times more. How is this happening? How do these people just break the limits of human potential every single day? And more importantly, why do they do it? Why do they put their lives at risk at the start of that ocean? They know they can die. They know they can be killed at any time. But they still do it. Why do they do it? Because it's the flow state. They harness that flow state in that situation. When they come into that situation, this might sound a little unbelievable, they are at actually peace. They're at actual peace because at that time the past does not matter, the future does not matter, what's happening around them does not matter. The only thing that matters is that wave is coming and I need to go, I need to ride that wave and I need to execute a physics defying maneuver. And they do that consistently. Another example is rock climbing. So there's a story of a guy called Alex Hanaud, and I've forgot the name of the peak actually, but he actually climbed a very large mountain peak without ropes. So he had no ropes on and he's just climbing normally. It's wearing clothes on and just climbing a mountain. So imagine the risk. If he falls, there is no safety net for him. If he falls, he's gone. But he takes that risk. He took that risk and he executed that. How did he execute that? Because that risk drove his attention into the flow state, drove his attention into climbing. He knew that he cannot take a misstep at any time. And that attention that he got allowed him to climb that mountain. So again, as it turns out, the flow state becomes extremely optimum.
Yes, there is a lot more to discuss with you and a lot more to learn from you. So dear friends, keep watching us and yes, keep giving your feedback to us. Thank you so much.